Do you really think with this current front office, the Los Angeles Lakers can do a damn thing? Because Rob Pelinka is a clown as a general manager. A clown.
He should have been out with Frank Vogel, as a package.
He has been exposed as one of, if not the worst general manager in basketball. I mean, first of all, let's talk about, let's start with the championship they won. Okay. He assembles that roster. And what does he do immediately after winning a championship? Fixes what isn't broken.
Yep.
What is going on? I want to welcome you from Half Court for today, Wednesday, June 1st. We made it to June, gentlemen. I am your host, Sean Murphy, alongside my guy, Jeff Iafrady. Jeff, happy June, buddy. Welcome to NBA Finals Week. What's happening?
Oh, nothing much. I'm excited, man. We got two great teams matching up, and then we have the draft. So good timeline for basketball fans, and we have all the offseason, which we'll be talking about. So it's the prime time.
Absolutely, man. And not only do we have that, but we also have Troy Sergey. Now, Troy, this is your last ever podcast from your current location. You are currently in the state of Ohio, and you will never record a pod from there again.
That is true, Sean. Going to Indianapolis, Indiana, Pacer country tomorrow.
Yeah.
Establishing my residency there, and might get quarter season Pacers tickets next year. So stay tuned with that.
That'd be sweet.
Yeah, that would be pretty sick. I'm thinking we're going to have to see about doing a podcast in Larry Bird's child home at some point.
Hey, I'll bring the iPhone. I'll set up the Wi-Fi. And I will record in Larry Bird's childhood home.
Oh, brother, if we're recording in Larry Bird's childhood home and you're recording with an iPhone, I would murder you. But anyway, this is From Half Court Region. Every week we all sit down and talk about NBA basketball. If you like that, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the podcast, and share with your friends, because this is the place that you're going to want to be. Also, be sure to give us a good rating. Be sure to find us, because we are on all the podcast services that your heart could possibly desire. Now, gentlemen, before we get into our topic of the week and getting into kind of our main thing, I would be remiss if we didn't talk about the NBA Finals, because it is now officially set that on June 2nd, Game 1 in San Francisco, California, will take place between the Golden State Warriors and the Boston Celtics. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown versus the Splash Brothers and Jordan Poole. Now, Troy, you texted Jeff and I today, and I know it's a good text from Troy when it starts with, "Let's play a game." Let's play a game. All right, let me just read it verbatim. And I quote, "Let's play a game, boys. Percentage of each team to win the finals. I say 85% Warriors, 15% Celtics." Now, Troy, I'm just gonna say it's a little disrespectful to the team in the Eastern Conference that has been on quite a tear since January 1st. The team that at the beginning of January was 4 games below 500, and since has lost 2 games in a row, one time when they sat 4 of their starters. You think this team only has a 15% chance in your head of winning an NBA championship? Explain.
Yeah, so never underestimate the heart of a champion. I look at the other side. Okay, first of all, I do want to say that was.
Aren't you literally underestimating the heart of a champion, a team that got to the finals?
Okay, hold on.
Hold
No
on.
finals experience on their team.
Hold on. Hold on. No, I will say, though, a little bit of disrespect for the Celtics because I will give them the props. Obviously, you're right, under 500 in January, and then coming up and beating the Nets, then beating the Bucks, then beating the Heat. I have to give props to that. I'm cheering for the Celtics. I would love for you to be blasting this podcast, making fun of me in 4 weeks when the Celtics, if the Celtics do win. That'd be awesome. That'd be my goal. But Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, guys, they're playing at an unreal level. They're looking like their old selves again. Wiggins coming on too, and I know you mentioned Wiggins maybe not have the full effect that we saw against the Mavs because of the defense of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. But Sean, I just can't see Boston beating this team. And we just talked a little bit earlier too. Yes, Boston won 3 games on the road in Miami, but they also lost 2 games at home, and they cannot lose at home against this Warriors team. They can't do it. And my prediction is Warriors in 6. I just can't see anything other than that.
So you're still giving them at least 2 games.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay. Now, Jeff, before you give your prediction, can I remind you guys, literally 2 weeks ago, when the Golden State Warriors were still playing the Memphis Grizzlies, when this Warriors team wasn't exactly looking too hot themselves. Now, obviously, in the Western Conference Finals, they play Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks. Luka's incredible. And I don't want to take anything away from what Dallas did this year because they made a great run. But they were just not on the same level. Like, that Dallas team is nothing compared to Kyrie Irving.
But then that team was...
then they have to play Giannis.
Without Chris Middleton. But yeah.
Still Giannis. I don't care.
Okay, go on. I'm giving you.
Yes,
and then you got
you
got a team with John. Just Jimmy Butler. But go on.
The Warriors had to play Joker.
Yeah, they had to play Joker, but a depleted Nuggets team that couldn't do anything on the defensive end. What? Are you telling me that Nuggets team was anything?
No, I'm not. I just want to make this straight too. Like, we can talk about how bad the Dallas Mavericks are, but can we talk about what the Warriors defense did to the Mavericks? I mean, that has to be mentioned as well. So I don't disagree with that. Defensively, they have been really good.
Boston's offense will struggle.
But here's my thing. First of all, Boston's offense, yes, they might have a hard time getting going, especially when they play in Golden State because it's a difficult place to play. I will give you that. However, first of all, this team just won 3 of their 4 games on the road in the Eastern Conference Finals. Now, playing in the Chase Center is a little different than playing in Miami, where some people don't show up until the 3rd quarter. You know how Miami is.
Hold on. But can we at least get the credit? We got to give the Warriors something because they're undefeated in the playoffs at home. They're 9-0. The Celtics are 5-4 at home.
Yeah.
So Troy's
they've been shaky at home.
So to Troy's point, like the Boston, their only chance to win, you got to go out and steal a game, at least at the Chase Center. You got to steal one.
Right. Well, you can't win without it.
But here's what I'm saying: 15%. That's what I'm saying.
I'm talking about the first 2 games. You got it. If they go down, it's murky waters.
Yeah,
the only way Boston wins
is definitely they're going to have to win both games in Boston, without a doubt. Yeah. Now, here's the thing. First of all, we're talking about all the problems that Golden State brings to Boston. And I'm in agreement. They do bring problems matchup wise.
But they got the length. Celtics do.
But the Celtics bring problems too.
They do.
Now, first of all, they're going to go small at points, and they could certainly try and go small. But they have a lineup where they could be versatile, and they could play small ball while having big guys on the court. Whether Robert Williams is at center, whether it's Al Horford who matches up against Draymond Green almost perfectly when you look at what kind of matchup there could be there. On top of that, you look at Jason Tatum, what he can do offensively, the heights we've seen him reach. Now, obviously, the thing that Boston needs in order to stay in games, they need more than Tatum to step up. They need Smart to have good games, who really stepped up at points in the Miami series. You need Jaylen Brown to play better games, or he did play some really solid basketball, especially in Game 7 and throughout the Eastern Conference Finals, throughout this playoff run in general. But my thing with Boston, and the reason why I'm okay with being hesitant, they play with their food too much, man. They let that Miami team hang in that series for too long. And all the credit in the world to Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, I mean,
he showed to probably be a top 10 player in the world right now. However, like that Boston, like that series,
Sean,
as an observer of that Boston series, it pissed me off.
Oh, it should piss you off because you have Max Strus and Gabe Vincent starting the backcourt, 2 undrafted free agents. So or undrafted period. So
yeah,
hey, it's something to at least be concerned about.
2 things, Sean. Yes, the first one is, again, I strongly agree with you that you can't play with your food against this Warriors team.
Yep.
Like they did with Miami. That can't happen again.
But also, can we not pretend that this Warriors team's a shell of what it used to be? Like this Warriors team's really good, but they're not indestructible. Like, let's be honest. Like if Dallas, like here's the thing, if Dallas makes more of those shots, because that was a team that really lived or died by the 3. I don't think Boston's a live or die by the 3 type of offense. Like even if you don't know what you're gonna get from like the ancillary pieces, you know that Boston's gonna at least put up a worthy fight. And they can have a quarter just like Golden State, where they have times where they can have a quarter or they can have a half where they take over. That is something that they have the ability to do. So all I'm saying is that this could very well be a 6 or 7 game series.
Mm-hmm. And I'm willing to go that far too, but I still have the Warriors. But I want to hear your percentage, Sean. I said 85. What is your percentage with the Warriors? Or are you taking the Warriors?
So if you're asking me who I'm bet, if I had to bet money, I would favor the Warriors because of Draymond, because of Steph. I really could see this being the time that Steph goes out and gets his finals MVP. And I think that's something he wants. However, if you're asking me like my percentages, I would go 55-45. I'd go 55% Golden State, but I go as low as 52-48. I think it's that much of a toss up. Because if we get Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown that showed up in the Milwaukee series, I think this is an entirely different series. Because even though we haven't seen Boston, I would say their momentum has definitely halted a little bit after this Eastern Conference Finals. I think we knew it was going to be a difficult series for them. So I'm not particularly surprised, because even though it's Miami stripped down and like a shell of themselves, it's still Miami. It's still Eric Spoelstra. It's still Pat Riley. It's still the Heat culture that we all know that they could put out any team on the court. And you know that they're gonna grind and make it an ugly basketball game for you every night. So are we surprised by that? Not necessarily. But again, Golden State has Steve Kerr, who's also one of the 15 greatest coaches of all time. And then you have Draymond Green, who's another coach on the court. My one question is, what's Andrew Wiggins going to do against these wings on Boston? Because if Andrew Wiggins doesn't show up, because everyone's like, oh, Andrew Wiggins, he's amazing. I think Boston's going to be able to shut him down way more than what Dallas could have.
But let me defend Andrew Wiggins a little bit, because I think Andrew Wiggins is going to cause Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown problems defensively. Because what he did to Luka, and I get it was a group effort, but I don't think Andrew Wiggins, I think he's going to be a good matchup for him. And not in terms of we can talk about offensively, but defensively, I think the biggest guy for me is Klay Thompson. Can Klay be like he was at the end of that Dallas Mavericks series? If you get that Klay and Steph, the Steph we know, Draymond facilitating, playing great defense, and Wiggins just got to give us, not us, I'm a Warriors fan, just got to give the Warriors, now look at me, I'm talking like a Warriors fan because I pick them to win, but they got to just give the Warriors what he's been doing, man. Play great defense. He doesn't have to be the leading scorer like he's been. He's been impressive, but they haven't played the greatest teams like we've been saying before. So I think he can take a little bit of a back seat, but they're going to need him defensively. One thing Boston I'm looking forward to, they can match up well with the Warriors. They could go Marcus Smart at the 1, Jaylen Brown at the 2, Jason at the 3, Grant Williams at the 4, and then have Robert Williams at the 5. I mean, that lineup could switch everything. So I think the Celtics deserve some respect. I'm going to say Warriors in 6 or 7. If I had to put it, I got to put a prediction down. So I'll say 6. Something about that, it could go 7, but my God, the Celtics have been through so many game 7s this playoffs. I just think this one might end a little bit earlier. I think the biggest question, like I said, is Klay Thompson. We need Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown to be as great as they've been. And Marcus Smart, like you've been saying, what does Marcus Smart do against Steph Curry? I mean, if he's able to make it tough on him and cause problems, Klay struggles, I can see this series easily, falling in a different direction, but it's going to be great either way. Right. But I got to go with the champs. More experience. I mean, you saw the stat ESPN popped up on the screen there. No finals experience on the Celtics roster at all. The Warriors have, well over 100 games in the finals. And I get it. It's between, a couple guys really, but still, I mean, that matters. That does.
Right.
Yeah. Go ahead.
What I was going to say is what I would say in response to that point. I think the one thing, even though Wiggins was able to shut down Luka and that really made it difficult for them, what I would say is even though Dallas, Jalen Brunson was a really solid secondary ball handler, he's no Jaylen Brown. And then that's the other thing is and when Marcus Smart is going too, once in a while he can have a 20+ point night under his pocket too. So absolutely, I would say Boston's more of a dynamic team offensively as far as the amount of options and the amount of guys who can handle the ball and create their own offense.
Hey, they got Jordan Poole now coming off that bench. He's been nice.
Yeah, he has. But again, this is a really difficult area now for those young players because now finals basketball, that rim's going to look a little smaller. That rim's going to be harder to make some shots because the moments only get bigger. So the thing for Golden State, it is going to be an X factor of even though Golden State has a lot more experience than the Boston side does because the Boston side has no experience. I would point out that a lot of that experience is very condensed and very heavy on the side of a few veterans. And then outside of that, a lot of those young guys on Golden State haven't experienced it either. So granted, your rotation's, more shrunken, and it's probably going to be a lot of those guys who have already been in the finals, but you know what I'm saying in regardless. But Troy, what's your prediction?
Yeah. I say Warriors in 6 as well. And I think Draymond Green and Klay Thompson will be your difference makers. I think the veterans are going to be coming up clutch when they need it. And I think it's going to be simple as Draymond Green grabbing a couple of rebounds.
I think Steph will make a difference.
Steph will make a difference too. But I think as far as putting them over the hump, Steph's going to be Steph. Putting them over the hump, Klay Thompson's got to show up just like Jeff said as well. So.
Yeah.
And one thing the Celtics have going for him is Ime Udoka, assistant under Greg Popovich. They talk about championship experience. There you go. There's a guy who's been in these moments. So, we'll see what he can get out of him because they got some dogs over in Boston. It's just going to be interesting to see him on the big stage. Finally, they were so close for all these years. I'm happy for him.
I'm so happy for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And game 1 will take place as we're recording on Thursday night at 9 p.m. So we will definitely be watching that, and we will definitely have a lot to say after that as well. But I want to shift for now to our Detroit Pistons, as we always got to talk a little bit Detroit each and every week. Now, we talked a little bit about this the week before, I believe, and Jeff, you and I have talked about. I did a video on this as well, talking about Deandre Ayton, and the update now being that it is confirmed reportedly that the Pistons do have interest in the big man out of Phoenix. And I want to ask you guys, first of all, as you are seeing this situation evolve with Deandre Ayton with Phoenix, what is your feeling on bringing him in on a max contract? Because it would be a 4-year, $30 million, like $30 million a year contract. This is $120 million. We're going to be bringing in Deandre Ayton on 120 plus. So how do you feel about that? And how do you think this compares to, say, Andre Drummond? Does that give you any comparisons? Do you feel any of those similar vibes? And do you think we should even be factoring that into this signing?
Well, I just want to start by saying we've been talking about this free agency class, and the fact that it is top heavy. These conversations are going to come about when you're talking about DeAndre Ayton. He's really the top tier free agent if you think about it, and people can take that however they want. But with DeAndre Ayton, A part of me would like it because you have right now the opportunity to overpay for a free agent because all these guys are still on rookie deals.
Right.
And again, if you want to, it depends on Troy Weaver's timeline. Do you want to, try to make the play in and get better quickly? Because if you do that, you draft Jaden Ivey and you go out and sign DeAndre Ayton. Now we're talking. You keep Jeremy Grant, or maybe you deal Jeremy, whatever the case may be. I don't mind that scenario, but also I don't mind if they don't sign him. And they keep the money available. They keep the young talent. They go out and maybe they trade Jeremy for that 7th pick. They sign a couple free agents to fill some needs, but they don't go out and overpay for anybody. I'm honestly good with both, and I think that's a great position to be in. I get it, and Uncle Terry will always say this too when he's talking to us. Terry Foster, you have to overpay for guys to come to Detroit. That's the reality, and that's not a Detroit versus everybody thing. It really is just. Right now, there isn't winning basketball. So why would a free agent want to come here? I mean, that's as simple as that. So
especially a player that is coming from a team that just this past year made the finals.
Right. And those players have their own expectations. So again, it's not a tough situation, but if you're evaluating DeAndre, it is tough because I don't like the Andre Drummond comparisons. I don't know why. I just don't see it. I mean, people, yes, the work ethic and all this. Listen, he's 23 and I get it. We said the same thing about Andre Drummond. But something tells me, I mean, this guy's played in big games. He was the reason why they were in those big games. Different players with different pedigrees. So number one overall player, number one overall talent. I think there's still something left there for him to grow on and get better. And why not in Detroit? Go mold with these young guys. So I'm on board with either option, honestly. And I'm comfortable with it either way.
Yeah, absolutely. Troy, what about you? Where do you lie?
Yeah, listen, of course, at the end of the day, I'm happy with either or, but listen, I say we go out and get him. I think to Jeff's point, he is 23 years old. Okay. He is nowhere near a finished project. I think he still has a lot of upside. I think his ceiling is still within reach of the next couple of years. I think he can very much improve his offensive game. Not that his offensive game is extremely flawed or anything, but I think there's even more improvement there. And I think even if he comes in and does the same stats as what he was doing in Phoenix, maybe even a little bit better. Let's say he averages 18 or 19 points a game, and maybe 11 or 12 rebounds a game. I mean, that's kind of what we need right now. And to that point too of, overpaying a free agent to come to Detroit, I feel like he's a guy that I feel okay with overpaying at least coming in here.
Because, and I agree with that.
Yeah, because I think if you look at a guy like Andre Drummond, all he was a stat pounder, right? I mean, truly, all he was a stat pounder.
Well, and Troy, to think, your point, you look at what Ayton brings beyond the stat sheet, right? Like what he brings as far as his interior presence, like
he has impact on the game.
Yeah, exactly. Like just his impact and presence when he's in the paint. Because you look at how many times did we allow 60+ points in the paint? And it was because, let's be honest, we talked about in our Kings podcast with which, by the way, that was like one of my favorite streams we've ever done. That guy was awesome. So shout out. Be sure to check those guys out. It was a great stream. But we talked about Marvin Bagley, we talked about Isaiah Stewart, and it's just, Bagley just isn't it defensively, and Isaiah Stewart needs help on the interior. And in my opinion, if you're going to go get a big man this summer, why not try and get the best big man available who could possibly be the best big man in the NBA one day?
Truly.
He has that ceiling, in my opinion.
Yeah.
If he works on his offensive game, if he works on his defensive game, and also if he's nurtured and in the right culture that holds him accountable, because if he went from Monty, it maybe he just needs a different voice, and maybe he needs different people to tell him he needs to grow up. And maybe the other thing too is playing alongside Cade, and maybe just being in a different environment will help, because we all know Phoenix is not the most stable organization.
Right. And Cade unlocks more of his game too, just like we saw a little bit with Chris Paul. And I think Dwayne Casey, as we've talked about over and over again, is known for developing his players. And Andre Drummond had little or no impact on the game itself. I mean, he really didn't a lot of those times, especially towards the end of his Detroit tenure. And I just don't see that with DeAndre. And I see a guy who actually has impact on the game. And I think, to your point, Sean, that 60 points a game in the paint, that's unacceptable. You can't win at this league with that. So I think he takes care of that, in my opinion. So I say go inside him.
Let me play devil's advocate for a second. What if you do pay DeAndre Ayton $30 million? And do you think that ties you up? Let's say you do pay him and he isn't at least what you expected, or let's just say he keeps the same stats. You said you'd be fine with it, Troy. But I'm just asking Pistons fans, comment down below what you think about this, because let's say in a year from now, or there's an asset available, and let's say you sign these other free agents, you fill other needs, you go out, you get Deandre Ayton, and you're a little bit tied up. Do you think that limits the Pistons from thinking from a year from now they have a guy who they probably can't trade at $30 million? It's going to be tough to trade Deandre Ayton. Do you think that ties them up at all? So if they feel like they can get a better player, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I don't think so, because I think you look at, because again, if we're going to keep looking at Dallas and look at the similarities of what they have with Luka to what we have with Cade, you look at the trade that they made at the deadline, being able to move Kristaps Porzingis. Granted, you bring in the Davis Bertans contract in return, but Bertans' contract doesn't look nearly as bad in Dallas as it did in DC. And on top of that, they got Spencer Dinwiddie in return. And what I would say is, first of all, you would only be able to sign him on 4 years. So Cade Cunningham's 21 years old. By the end of that contract, Cade would be 25. So let's say it doesn't work out and Detroit isn't contending at the end of those 4 years. We're probably going to be able to move Ayton. We would probably be able to move off Ayton before those 4 years are up. And then we would just have the flexibility and the opportunity to go get somebody else. We have $38 million that come off the books after this season. So in my opinion, if you have the ability to go get a guy who was drafted number 1, you go get that guy if you have the chance, because you don't have many chances to have guys like that every day.
Right.
And then you'd have 1 and 2 from that draft class.
You would have 1 and 2. Preferably you'd rather have 3 and 4, but
right.
I would not want Trae Young personally. I'm good.
Well, okay, that's a whole nother.
Well, in Detroit, okay, would you want would Trae Young fit the Detroit Pistons?
No, he would not.
No,
I'm saying you Trae Young and Luka are a better duo than Ayton and Bagley. That's all.
Well, of course. I mean, defensively, that'd be a nightmare.
Yeah,
not
a good nightmare.
Barbecue chicken.
I mean, on the other hand, Ayton and Bagley could be pretty good defensively if Bagley got good instinctively on the defensive end. I think the interesting thing, if you're looking at the fit, I mean, people are talking about, like, in the modern NBA, do you pay the max level for a big? And I think the answer is 9 out of 10 bigs. No, you don't. But I would argue Ayton's 1 out of 10. I would argue he's a top 5 big right now. And I would argue that, well, okay, let's look at our top. I mean, you grimace, but like,
all right, name the 5.
Let's look at our top.
You got to give me 5 if you're going to say 5. You got to give me 5.
All right, yeah. So number 1, Nikola Jokic. No issue with that.
And Joel's right behind him. Then.
Yeah, Joel Embiid at number 2. Beyond that,
you're gonna go Bam 3.
Yeah,
Bam's Bam's up there.
I go Bam 3.
You're gonna disrespect. We're just gonna throw Rudy down at 6.
We'll go. You could even go Rudy 4 if you want, but I would make. You can make arguments that Ayton's a better offensive big.
No Anthony Davis on that list.
No.
Yeah, well, Anthony's not healthy. I guess he ain't really counting. And he don't even like playing the 5.
Yeah, he doesn't even like playing center. I'm not counting him as a big.
No, Nurkic hasn't been healthy. There hasn't really been a lot of guys, but no, I give you that. I think he's around 5. That's a good place for him.
Do you think he has the? Do you think I'm crazy to say that he could be the best big in the league in the next 5 to 10 years?
I want to see Deandre Ayton. When you watch a lot of him in college, especially coming out, I just remember thinking this is basically, he has the Shaq-esque presence in college, but he has a beautiful jump shot. And they never really utilized that in Phoenix. And I feel like if he can, unlock that a little bit, I think he could be in that conversation. I mean, look at Nikola and Joel Embiid, 1 and 2. Those guys can space the floor.
Right.
I know Jokic has his, he's not as great defensively, but he makes up for it with his offense. Joel obviously does both sides of the ball. So honestly, with Deandre Ayton, certainly he has the tools.
Yeah.
I just the question people have, and I get it, Pistons fans, is will he get there? And it's all about the culture he's coming into, and I get it. Phoenix had a good culture, but like you said, organizationally, you can argue they didn't. So I think Detroit would be a great place for him
as of last year.
And just to add this too, I think we'd utilize him a lot more, because with CP3, Devin, Mikal Bridges, they had a lot of guys. Cameron Johnson, they were shooting a lot of threes. DeAndre was kind of left out, in the side, and I get it. That's their offense. But DeAndre in Detroit, lob threat. I mean, like you said, he would be a great presence defensively. We would utilize him for sure.
I would argue coming in, he would be either our second or third option offensively day one.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I in my opinion, I think he could have more of an expanded game. I think playing in the Eastern Conference, I think that would just add a ton of value. And in my opinion too, I just think you look at where he can go, like you said, if he could continue to stretch his game beyond the perimeter, then
that 30
would
million
be,
looks nice.
Then that would be what puts him up there, in my opinion, because I think defensively he has a lot of the tools that you're looking for out of a top big man. I think offensively he's shown that he could take over games in the playoffs, which any player that is shown can take over a playoff game is worth $30 million, in my opinion. So, I mean, there's the exceptions to the rule. Like you don't pay JJ Barea, $30 million, right. But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, he's got the form. I mean, he could shoot free throws. He was consistent 75%, 75%, free throw shooter. So he can shoot free throws. It's not like Rudy Gobert or anybody where you kind of laugh at yourself when he's in the game late and and he can't do anything offensively. No, we're good. We're good. I like Deandre Ayton a lot. I mean, if the Pistons go out and get him, I would applaud them because there's Miles Bridges and Jalen Brunson that they avoided paying. So that'd be great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how many suitors he has and what does his offers look. I mean, he's restricted, of course, so it's going to be very interesting to see this offseason, no doubt about it.
Yeah, and didn't I see something about Atlanta too trying to push for him, or even like a sign and trade with?
Well, yeah, that's going to be the interesting thing. So the sign and trade market is very much, and Detroit very much could be in play as well there too, because that could be a destination for Jeremy Grant if we wanted to make that type of trade. Now, obviously I would prefer just to get him on the free agency market if possible. I would prefer just to outbid Phoenix. But if we were to, but the sign and trade market is possible. They would have to give up Capella. But in my opinion, if I'm Atlanta, I don't know if that's enough of a significant upgrade for them because of, in my opinion, but Capella's like another one of those young bigs who has a pretty good ceiling. So I think they're certainly in the conversation. I'm sure Charlotte would want to have some form of conversation, but in my opinion, I think right now, I think Detroit is the most likely landing spot space for him, just because of the salary cap and also just with what they can offer as far as like an opportunity as well.
And what would that do to Cade's game? I mean, can we talk about that too? I mean, that'd be great to see him in a pick and roll with DeAndre Ayton, like the things they can do together.
Cade needs a big to do that with.
He does. He does. I mean, Marvin Bagley's great and he's a lob threat, but I think people are just so excited to get Marvin Bagley that they don't understand that there's more potential. Right. Like you can get, one of these really great bigs like DeAndre Ayton or whoever it is, and my God, it'd be a deadly tandem. Absolutely.
And that's what I'm saying is like, you look at what bigs, like what great duos you've seen over the course of time. Historically, it's a guard or a wing and a big. Cade, a guard/wing, and a big.
Yeah, and you can count Giannis and Chris as that. Giannis is pretty much a goddamn big. I mean, you could throw, Chris Middleton as the wing.
So
yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so like the in my opinion, that instantly raises your ceiling of what this team could be going forward. And again, Cade's young enough to where if it doesn't work, we can always make a move and make something different.
Right.
And Troy Weaver's at the helm. And at the end of the day, we got Dwayne Casey in there. That's another level-headed coach that can work with him. That's used to working with different personalities. I think this is a different situation in Phoenix. I just do. And
you gotta swing while you have Cade on a rookie. All these guys on rookie contracts, because once you pay Cade, pay City, pay all these guys, it's gonna be a lot harder to go out and get a DeAndre Ayton. So take a swing at the fences. I wouldn't mind it. I'd love it.
Bingo. Let us know what you think in the comment section down below. But if you're on the fence, if you don't like them, if you're reading first of all, I heard this video game report. I don't know the legitimacy of it. I mean, listen, anytime
everybody
you see
plays
a report,
damn video games.
Yeah, everyone who's 23 years
Devin
old.
Booker was playing video games. I mean, he still plays video games.
Exactly. And the other thing, that's cool. But guess what? If you're going to come to Detroit, that's the thing. That's a place that's going to hold him accountable. That's why I'm okay with bringing him in, because I have faith in the culture we're building. And at a certain point, you got to take a swing. If you're going to take a swing on a former number one pick.
Yeah, this is the swing to take. This is
that easy.
This is the swing to take. So
it's that easy.
Highest ceiling
Defensively,
in the class.
it's a home
sure.
run. It's just a home run from a fit standpoint. It really is. So I hope they do it. I would be a big supporter of the move. I would love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. But in my opinion, I would say that there is at least a 50% chance that Deandre Ayton's a Detroit Piston this summer.
Yeah.
Now, guys, there's another big thing that happened in the NBA this past week. Darvin Ham was hired by the Los Angeles Lakers to coach their NBA organization. He is the 6th coach in the past 11 seasons for the yellow and gold. Now, or for the purple and gold. Now, Darvin Ham, former player on the 03-04 Pistons, played on numerous different teams, was an assistant coach for years with the Milwaukee franchise, is one of those guys who has been known throughout the league as a guy who's deserved an opportunity, and now will get a 4-year contract with the Los Angeles Lakers. I do believe they're actually allowing him to select his assistant coaches as well, which is crazy that that's something you even have to mention. But with the Lakers, you do. So
another thing that is crazy you have to mention is Kurt Rambis will no longer be in the coaches meetings, which he was in it every time for Frank Vogel, which is absolutely ridiculous.
Yep.
So, and I have a question to you guys. Do you think Darvin Ham will make it through 4 years with the Lakers? Not saying he's not a great coach. Do you think he'll make it through 4 years, that contract? Troy, what do you think?
I don't know if anyone will, Jeff.
That's my point. Darvin Ham, Saginaw Prod. I love Darvin Ham. Honestly, if he wants to come and coach Detroit eventually when Dwayne goes into the front office,
for Darvin Ham. So
I love Darvin Ham. Go and have success. But how? I mean, guys,
they're setting him up for failure. So first of all, let's talk about another thing.
Yeah. Go on.
Because this goes in conjunction with this report. According to reports by Mark Stein, the Lakers are reportedly looking on keeping Russell Westbrook this season. So let's start that expectation there. Russ isn't going anywhere. The front office has decided that they do not want to give up future assets to get off of Russell Westbrook's contract. So, like it or not, they're doing another year of this. So, that's the first thing we got to start with. Now, potentially you can move him at the deadline, but I don't know what team would, like, unless you're just looking to clear a significant amount of salary. I don't know how you're making that trade.
No.
So,
and they're not giving up future assets to do it.
Exactly.
Either. So I applaud the Lakers. That's the right move. And that's why they asked all these coach candidates, what are you going to do with Russell Westbrook? That's important because we're probably going to keep him. And Darvin Ham, obviously, he had the best answer. So I'm excited to see it. I think the Lakers organization, if you have any questions, it's really Anthony Davis. Let's be honest. Like if Anthony Davis can be healthy for the entirety of the season, he's a top 5 talent, and he just is not there. That's why they call him street clothes. Shout out to Charles Barkley. Street clothes.
Is it a question anymore? Like, because to me, I feel like we've had our answer. I feel like he's not. I feel like you can't rely on him. I feel like he's not stable and consistent.
We have the answer, but again, for Darvin Ham's sake, if you have Russell Westbrook and LeBron James going into the season and a couple shooters, good luck.
Now, do you think generally speaking, a former player is the perfect kind of coach for this type of locker room? Do you think maybe like part of the disconnect with a guy like Frank Vogel is just like, listen, you haven't done this like at our level before? Like, do you think some of that bond of like, hey, we've stepped on the court together, do you think that's going to make a big difference?
I think what's big, before you go, Troy, I just have to mention this. I think what was big for the Lakers, and I was hoping they'd get a head coach with experience. Like, and that's the thing with Darvin Ham, is it's not his fault. He deserves the opportunity. But I just feel like going into a team with Russell and LeBron, you have so many personalities. I think it's great that he's a former player and he's won an NBA championship. That's in other words, an assistant with the Bucks. So that's big time. But again, you're walking into murky waters. I mean, when you have LeBron, le GM, whatever you guys want to say about him, getting coaches fired, whatever everybody says. So I think that's a tough situation to go into.
Yeah,
that's a tough one.
Especially just with vets around LeBron too. Even a guy like Carmelo, having him around probably for one more year, maybe. I don't know. And other vets on that team. I think, a former player, I think, would have a little more respect than a guy like Frank Vogel. I think someone who's been there, done that, and won a champion, right? You're bringing in a champion, like you mentioned, with our team. And he played a minor role in that 04 team as well. So, Yeah, I do think, Sean, to answer your question, yes, I think they will have a little more respect for him. I again, though, I really hope that he can succeed because, man, I can't really name any coaches on the top of my head that I would bet money to make them succeed at.
Yeah,
so.
let me ask the question in a little less nice way. Because Jeff, I think you set it up. Let me just throw it out there, all right? Because I think we all want to say it. I think it's a secret out there that no one wants to admit, but I'll just say it. Do you really think with this current front office, the Los Angeles Lakers can do a damn thing? Because Rob Pelinka is a clown as a general manager. A clown.
He should have been out with Frank Vogel, as a package.
He has been exposed as one of, if not the worst general manager in basketball. I mean, first of all, let's talk about, let's start with the championship they won. Okay. He assembles that roster. And what does he do immediately after winning a championship? Fixes what isn't broken.
Yep.
Disassembles a championship roster.
Yeah.
It brings in Dennis Schroeder and Marc Gasol. And then turns that and turns away Lonzo Ball.
Yeah.
Brandon Ingram.
DeMar
Julius
DeRozan.
Randle, DeMar DeRozan, Buddy Hield, all these different moves that they could have made. Are you telling me that Lakers team last year with LeBron, DeMar DeRozan, and Buddy Hield isn't better than the Lakers team we got this past year? Because it is.
Yeah.
But Rob Pelinka, at every turn, he picked the wrong role players. He picked the wrong partners alongside LeBron. And guys, this is year 20. This is year 20. I'm just saying. Like,
it's at the worst part of it is he has to do more at this age than he should be doing. So
yeah,
that's
are you expecting
probably
Russell Westbrook to have had a change of heart?
You know what's
past year?
You know what's funny? You reflect back on when they won a championship. Remember they won a championship and everybody was saying, the whole national media, it's Anthony Davis's time. It's now his team. The torch is being passed, and now the torch went right back to LeBron. It seems like so.
Well, yeah, because there's no faith that he can last, and even then, when he's been healthy, I mean, can we just again?
He didn't look good.
He doesn't look like Anthony Davis from the bubble. That's peak Anthony Davis. That's peak a lot of guys apparently, because we haven't seen a lot of guys return to peak bubble form. I mean, I'm just saying, man, the bubble, you didn't have to travel. You were in the same location.
Hey, Celtics still went home early.
Yeah,
no, I'm just joking. I'm joking.
You're not wrong. But I mean, with that, but seriously though, and they came in with like an entire off season's worth of rest before the playoffs too. That was another thing that helped.
Yeah,
But yeah, I would imagine, I listen, if there's any team I do not trust can give a heart-to-heart speech and can make a player develop and change their heart's view, in my opinion, that is not the Lakers. Like, that's just not who they are.
No.
The Lakers is showtime. The Lakers is pizzazz. The Lakers is celebrity. It's beyond basketball. It's a spectacle. At this point, you know what the Lakers are, guys? They're a circus. LeBron's the ringleader. They're a circus. So they can do whatever the hell they want, but as long as they have the abominable Russell Westbrook on the roster, I don't expect a whole lot of good things to happen. So, I mean, Darvin Ham, I think, is a great coaching hire, and I think he brings that defensive intensity just like Frank Vogel. But I think the difference is, I think he's going to be able to earn the respect of LeBron and have those conversations that Vogel just couldn't anymore. I think you could have had anybody in that locker room though last year, and I think you were getting the same result,
right?
Because that team's effort at points was pitiful.
Yeah, there was a disconnect, like a big disconnect. So you're hoping with Darvin Ham, now a former player, to kind of re-bridge that player to coach relationship, which I think he's going to be able to do that. I mean, with guys at the ages they're at, Carmelo, Russell, LeBron, and all these guys, they just need to be motivated. I mean, they don't need to be mentored. I mean, they have established careers, so I think Darvin can do that. So I think the Lakers, I wouldn't say they're back and they're going to be back to contention because you know what you're getting out of 80% of the roster, but it's going to be interesting. to say the least.
So you're going to see a lot of overhaul in this roster. I mean, just to give the long list of free agents for the Lakers this summer. So it starts with Russell Westbrook with his $47 million player option. I'm going to tell you right now, he's picking that up. And then we get down to you have a player option for Kendrick Nunn. I'm going to tell you right now, he's picking that up. And then you get down to Dwight Howard's a free agent. Carmelo Anthony's a free agent. Wayne Ellington, Avery Bradley, Kent Bazemore, Malik Monk, Austin Reeves, DJ Augustine.
Malik Monk's getting paid.
Malik Monk's getting paid. So if you're going to want to keep him, you're going to have to pay him. So, and you know what's the crazy thing? I read all that, guys. It sounds like they have a ton of salary room coming off. Guess how much money they have tied into next year? $149 million.
I was gonna say 80.
I was gonna say 100. We're still way off.
The projected salary cap is $125 million. They only have 5 players, 6 under contract.
It's terrible.
They're freaking over the cap.
Didn't they re-sign Stanley Johnson though?
but so he's one of the players. He's going to be on contract. He's still going to be under contract.
They loved him.
But his money's not fully guaranteed.
Yeah,
he's owed $2.3 million. It's not fully guaranteed. So
poor Stanley.
Yeah. So listen, man. All I'm saying is that I think it's a good hire in the sense that they got the right guy. As far as who's out there, that was the best guy available. But we saw Juwan Howard turn down this job too.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's time that we stop. I think we just stop making it a secret and we just acknowledge this isn't a good job. It's not.
Yeah. It's an opportunity that Darvin had to take. You know what I mean? Like Juwan can stay put at Michigan. Darvin Ham's been an assistant for so long. Like this is an opportunity for him to finally. And it sucks that your only opportunity, you got to go to the Lake Show. You know, the circus, like you said. I mean,
you still get to coach LeBron.
Yeah, that's cool. The bonus. That's the bonus. Look at Ty Lue. Remember, hey, what is he without LeBron? Looking with the LA Clippers now. So, put some respect on him, name.
Yeah.
But hey, to give credit though, LeBron did want Eric Spoelstra out, and,
right.
And he's looking pretty damn good.
Yikes!
Now here's the thing: Darvin Ham's going to need the cachet, or not the cachet, but he's going to need the full authority from the front office to make decisions. Specifically, we all know Russell Westbrook was only on the court at points last year because Frank Vogel felt like he was forced to have him on the court. That can't happen again. If Russell Westbrook's not playing well, Darvin Ham needs to have the respect and the permission to coach his basketball team and to put him on the bench if need be. That's going to have to be something he's going to be allowed to do. If not, this won't go well. And
no coach has been able to do it too.
Mm-hmm.
That.
You know what's interesting, Jeff and Troy? It's interesting because you hear about like the Lions organization, about how they've been talked about for a number of years. And the sense is that a lot of people that they hired were people that they liked. That it was like a family atmosphere, right? And it's so interesting hearing about the Lakers in such a similar vein, and knowing that the Lakers have almost 20 titles and the Lions have one playoff win in 60 years. It's crazy that the dysfunction, because one team's in LA, the other's in Detroit. I mean, there's a whole other litany of stuff because of it. There's the change in ownership. There's so many different things.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing. The shifting of ownership and obviously the passing away of the Mitch. That's a big deal. Like, I love at least after Kobe, it's been a mess. And now with LeBron, they won a championship, like you said, but it's still a mess. And that's the problem. As soon as they hired Rob Pelinka, Kobe's former, agent, to be your general manager, that's embarrassing.
Really ever since the children of the Laker legacy took over. Once the ownership was passed on to the Buss family, like to
Jeannie Buss.
Jeannie's, it's been a mess, dude. It really has.
Jeannie Buss, I mean, listen, right, there's just no other way to say it. She just doesn't know basketball like her dad did. And that's okay, but you're the owner of the Lakers. Like you have your weird relationship stuff with Phil Jackson.
Yeah.
Apparently he still has some form of role in the organization, but all you hear about who has roles is like Burt Rambis and Michelle Rambis. And like the fact that you have people like that having, if Michelle Rambis has any say on basketball operations for the Los Angeles Lakers.
No.
I don't know what to say to you.
So what is Phil Jackson on the payroll?
No.
Okay.
No.
He helped him find a coach, I guess. I mean, that was the reports.
Yeah, the reports are that he was at least advising in the coaching search. So
and I would say, and Jeannie kind of did this, but surround yourself with people that, are expertise in areas you're not, but that has to be people that are also unbiased and are also willing to tell you you're doing this wrong. I mean, not people that are not
unbiased from the beginning, though. It's all nepotism. The reason why Rob Pelinka's in the place that he is because it's Kobe's agent. Let's just call it the way it is, y'all. That's why he's there.
Yeah, that's the truth.
No other reason. Not because of his expertise in running basketball teams. He was an agent. Where do those cross over?
Yeah.
They don't.
They're comfortable with him.
Mm-hmm. So
they like him.
Yeah. So I mean the Lakers after this upcoming season is when they're going to have a lot more financial freedom. On one hand, that's because Russell Westbrook comes off the books. But on the other hand, that's when LeBron does too. Yeah. So they're going to have, after this season, they're going to have, there's going to be a lot of chatter with what LeBron's going to do. Now, what I will say, I have a hard time seeing LeBron leaving LA, seeing that his net worth's about doubled since he's gotten there. So,
true.
I mean, at this point, is LeBron
we all know
really
why he went
to Cleveland?
LA. Yeah.
Like, no, he's not. So, in my opinion, I think he's stuck there. But guys, the Lakers are, in my opinion, they're going to look very similar to how they did last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, who are you going to be able to get like on the veteran minimum market that's going to change the outlook of this franchise? Nobody.
And the only expendable piece isn't getting traded. So that should be expendable. Yeah, it ain't happening.
Yep, exactly. But with that, there's going to be a lot of interesting things coming down the road. We're going to definitely have more draft conversations coming soon. Definitely with the NBA finals starting, that means that we are closer to the NBA offseason, which means we'll have trades, we'll have free agency, we'll have the summer league. There's going to be a ton of different things to talk about. But first, Troy, we can't end this episode without taking a journey to From Mount Rushmore. And Troy, what do you have for us today?
Yeah, not quite from Mount Rushmore today, but from conversations. Looking at
conversations,
from conversations, right? From small talk, a little bit. So obviously, the NBA just came up with the new trophies for MVP for Eastern Conference and Western Conference Player of the Conference Finals.
Yeah, like Eastern and Western Conference MVP.
Yeah. I'm sorry, MVP and Magic Johnson Award, Larry Bird Award. So let's just have a conversation today about that rivalry. Right? Larry Bird, Magic Johnson. You can't say Larry Bird without saying Magic Johnson, and you can't say Magic Johnson without saying Larry Bird. So I guess I'll start off the conversation. I think the story definitely begins in 1979, right? The NCAA National Championship, Michigan State versus Indiana State, Spartans versus Sycamores. And we saw Magic come on top. And that Indiana State team, I think, was undefeated until that game.
We saw Magic do what? Anyway, keep going.
Yeah.
It was a sexual joke. Anyway.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Magic Johnson, definitely.
You just ruined his flow.
Yeah, you ruined my flow, Sean. Obviously, Magic Johnson came on top.
Magic ended up coming on top.
Yes,
like, what else am I going to say?
Hold on, pause.
We know what he did. Yes. Not quite that stage in his life yet. But anyways, he won the national championship against Larry Bird. Yes. And Larry Bird definitely wanted to come in next season, the rookie season, and have some little revenge. And his revenge was stealing Rookie of the Year from Larry Bird. From Magic Johnson. However, Magic Johnson was still able to go and win an NBA Finals his rookie year against the Philadelphia 76ers. And Larry Bird wanted to win the championship, but got the Rookie of the Year, and all Magic Johnson wanted to do was win the Rookie of the Year, but got the championship. So it's kind of funny how those reverse roles. And then we just saw those two battle throughout the rest of the career. I guess Jeff or Sean, Tell us a little bit about those battles.
Well, yeah, the greatest rivalry in NBA history.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, the greatest player rivalry ever. I mean, perhaps two players stylistically who are so similar and so different at the same time. Just guys who could both take over the game. And I mean, you look at Magic, he was flash, he was excitement, he was showtime, and Larry Bird was no nonsense, showing up, blue collar. And so
he fit Boston. They just fit.
Yeah, exactly. One was East Coast, one was West Coast, one was, like there was the racial divide as well, or the racial barrier as well. But the fact that, these guys were also able after their careers and after playing to have a friendship now. And also, I mean, the Larry and Magic era saved the NBA.
It did.
So, I mean, you don't look at Steph and LeBron. You don't look at Kobe and, or like Kobe and the Celtics, or like whatever rivalries you've seen throughout the test of time. They're all partially influenced by Larry Bird and Magic.
Yeah, and with that too, Sean, Michael Jordan. People say Michael Jordan saved the NBA, but really, the NBA strategized a lot of their TV market that they still have today based on those. They'd have the Lakers or Celtics play first, and the Lakers play second every single time. I guess even one time for the preseason, they played 4 games against each other. Like that's just insane.
Yeah,
back to back to back for the preseason.
And every time they played too, it was whether it was in the finals, whether it was in the preseason, these guys were going at each other's throats, and they wanted to be the best. They wanted to better each other, and they both were multi-time NBA champions. They both, in the times of their careers, had their own respective dynasties, and they both, and even though they were so different, they dominated so similarly because they both took over the game. I mean, we talk about Magic's playmaking. Larry Bird was a hell of a playmaker himself, and he could make some shots too. So they both, in my opinion, were so similar as far as like what they could do as players, but so different as people. And again, it's the perfect rivalry. Just two Midwestern kids playing on two separate sides of the country for the two biggest dynasties in basketball. I mean, what better rivalry than Magic and Bird? There's not.
Kicking everybody else's ass too.
Exactly.
I mean,
exactly.
You can't talk about people talk about Michael Jordan. You got to respect what happened before then, and they saved the NBA. That was what I was going to say. Exactly that. I mean, these two guys, alpha males, iron sharpens iron, of course, but you can't even talk about the NBA and mention them. And I'm glad now you have the Magic Johnson Award, the Larry Bird Award, because you cannot talk about the NBA without mentioning those two guys. Absolutely not. Big parts of our, especially NBA history. So deservingly so. And I'm glad there's an award now after him. It's about damn time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking up their head-to-head stats right now because I'm interested to see.
Ahead.
Yeah. So it looks like in their head-to-head over the course of their careers, it looks like they played it looks like they've played a total of 19 games against 18 games against each other. It looks like Magic was 11-7 or 11-7, and Larry Bird was 7-11, but they both were just dominant against each other. Or I mean, they both put up amazing numbers. I can only imagine. I mean, just the amount of times, Larry Bird's career record versus NBA legends. Here we go. So against Magic, he's 15-22 over his career. However, against Michael Jordan, Larry Bird's 23-11. Isn't that insane?
Yeah.
And each of those guys have like iconic moments. I mean, yes, they're winners and they're one of the greatest of all times. But Michael, do people forget especially with Magic Johnson playing center with Kareem out in the finals and putting up 40
as a rookie?
as a rookie. That's the same year you're talking about, Sean. 40 and 15, whatever it was. And then you had Larry Bird playing an entire game with his left hand. I mean, it's just these guys, man. It's legends. They'll go on forever.
League. It's a different league.
So Larry Bird and Matt was 7-11 against Magic in the regular season, but in the postseason, Larry Bird was 8-11. So altogether, Magic won more than Larry did, but that's an even matchup if you're 7-11 and 8-11. I mean, that's almost 500. I mean, they're trading shots back and forth. So they were truly like, and the other thing too, people talk about rivalries, and you often look at how much rivals hate each other. I think really what makes rivalries special is how much they push each other to make the other great. Yeah,
I guess when obviously they played together against each other, Larry Bird every single morning checked the newspaper for the stats of how did Magic play last night. And I guess when Magic, of course, had to retire with HIV, he never checked the newspaper anymore. He just didn't care. That says a lot. Think about that.
Yeah. Well, and you know, and at the end of the day, it never ends. The rivalry never ends, you know, because
and they got to play together in the Olympics when they were both a little bit beat up in '92. But that was kind of a cool closing moment for them as far as their playing careers.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, you think of the commercial, the Larry and Magic McDonald's commercial from back in the day when they're playing horse. You think of all the different things they've done together. I mean, it's just those guys are special, man. And I you know, I have that profile picture of Magic that I posted on the community page, and also I put on my profile picture everywhere. I mean, that's just, you know, Magic. It doesn't matter what era it is. You know who Magic Johnson is.
Yeah, that
you know?
smile.
And,
that smile.
Yeah, and Larry Bird. There's never going to be another player like him again. You know.
No, there really isn't.
Yeah, Troy Weaver's talked about how he sees a little Larry Bird and Cade Cunningham, which when I heard that comparison, I was like, I like that.
You could take parts of it, but you'll never be a
well, yeah, you could take elements, but you're never going to be the full Larry Bird because Cade has different elements of his game.
Right. I was going to say, I don't know. That would not be a statement I would make. I don't know where Troy's getting at with that.
Well, Troy Weaver knows what he's talking about. Let's not question Troy Weaver. I mean, the guy knows what he's doing. But with that, gentlemen, I think this was another good episode here from Half Court. If you agree, you should like this video and subscribe to the channel. I would say we're on the journey to 1,000 subscribers, but we're already there. You already got us above.
Hey, 2,000 guys. 2,000.
We're on the journey to 2,000 subscribers.
Yes,
so be sure to get there as well. But also, there's going to be other things coming to the channel. So be sure to be on the lookout for some cool announcements and some sick stuff. But also, be sure to follow my guy Troy at Troy3044, my guy Jeff at Jeff580, and myself at Sean Half Court, which you can see right here. I want to thank y'all so much for tuning in, and we will catch you next time from Half Court. Be sure to subscribe.